everybody, and welcome to my channel. I am glad to be back. Thank you to so many of you who left comments for my videos about our trip around Alaska. Some of you know that my husband and I retired 4 years ago to Alaska from California, but because of COVID and everything, we really haven't had a chance to tour around. So we went on a little trip. We came home faster than we expected, but we saw a lot of really cool things. And if you want to see them, I have 3 videos on my channel with those pictures on them. But in any case, I've been away from making cards for quite a while now, so I'm glad to be back. So anyway, one of my challenges has been that it's a good challenge. All spring from January on, I have been really busy making cards for ALTENEW because I'm a certified educator and I have been asked to be a guest designer. So I have been very, very busy doing that. And so I took the summer off from that. And now I'm determined to go back through all the other things that I've gotten over the spring, all my supplies, and start using them. And one of them has been some of my kits that have come, and one of them was this, my Simon Says Stamp Season of Sentiments kit. I know it's not the newest one, but like I said, mine are all sitting on a shelf waiting for me to use them. So what I decided to do was I wanted to also start a little series of doing some fancy fold cards and start from things that are easy, because a lot of people are very hesitant to try making fancy fold cards and they think they can't do it because it's complicated. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to find something in this kit that I'm going to make into a fancy fold card. And so I found this gorgeous paper that was included. I don't know if you can see, it's just a beautiful pink roses, and roses are my thing. So I decided, okay, I'm going to use this. So we are going to make a triangle gatefold card today, and you are going to be so surprised about how easy it is to do. Now, I will go ahead and put all these measurements on the screen when I edit this, so you don't have to worry about writing them down as you listen. You can just have them there, and I'll put them also below in the information. And remember, when you click below, you need to click on the more, because all the information and all the supplies and everything are at the bottom underneath that little more, and you won't see it unless you click there. So be sure to do that. And I would also appreciate you subscribing to my channel and also making a comment or clicking like, because YouTube keeps track of that. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they do, and it will help me. So thank you very much for that. So let's get started. So the first thing that you need to do for this card is cut a piece of cardstock that is 4 inches by 10 inches. Now this cardstock that I'm using is kind of an ivory colored cardstock, because I wanted it to go with the ivory background on this. This paper isn't white background, it's ivory background, and I happen to have some ivory cardstock, so that's what I did. So you want to cut this to be 4 inches by 10 inches. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take scorer, and I score on my cutting machine, on my trimming machine, because I get all wonky on those other score pals. I have 2 of them, and they're fine. It's not them that's the problem, it's me that's the problem. I somehow can't seem to score a straight line on them. So I just do this. And I love this trimmer that I just got recently. It's a Stampin' Up trimmer, and I don't use Stampin' Up products. I don't really know anything about them much, but I saw a Stampin' Up demonstrator use it and talk about how it has both the cutting blade or trimming blade and the scoring blade all on at the same time, and you can alternate or use them and don't have to change the blades like my old Fiskars one did. So I'm really happy with it. So right now I'm going to use this blade, which is the scoring blade, at 5 inches, just in the half here of this, and go back and forth a couple times and have a score there so that I can easily fold this in half. Let me put this up. Okay, and so now we're going to fold this in half, and I'm going to use my bone folder and get a nice crease there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is that now this is 4 inches by 5 inches because it's the half of the 10. And so now what we're going to do is take this. I already cut this piece of the pattern paper. It was a 6 by 8 piece, and I cut it down to, you can see what was on the back. I cut it down to 4 inches by 5 inches to fit exactly on here. So what we're going to do is take a little glue runner and do that. And this also came in this kit, by the way, which I was happy to see, because who doesn't need tape runners? This is a dot runner. I just want to make sure I get this stuck down to the front here. And with the roses turned up. And I'm going to put that right down there so it sticks on the front. And there we have our card that we're going to end up. This will be the space that you write on in the card, but we're going to set that aside for a minute. I wanted to show you when I was figuring out this card, I made some samples for just out of white cardstock to see about the sizes. So this one is 4 by 5. And then this is our little triangle piece that we're going to fit over both sides. And this is a square, and it is 3.5 by 3.5. Now I want to tell you, I debated about what to make with this pink, what to make this square out of. Should I make it out of the ivory cardstock? This is white cardstock, but should I make it out of the ivory cardstock? Out of pink cardstock? I have some pink cardstock that also came with the kit. And let me get it here. So I could make a triangle out of that. I wasn't really happy with that either. And the ivory looked too plain. And then I thought about making them vellum. And then I thought, well, I don't know about that. So I was going around and around. And then I decided, why don't I try something completely different? So what I did was I made them out of the ivory cardstock, but I used a cover die, and this is the ALTENEW ornate cover die. And what I did was I cut this die out. Well, you can't see the whole die, but I cut this die out of 2 pieces of the ivory cardstock, and they came out looking like this. Isn't that pretty? It's such a pretty pattern. And what I did was I cut a 3.5 inch square out of this, and then it goes on like this. Doesn't that look pretty? Isn't that pretty? You could do this with any cover die that you have that makes a really intricate pattern like that. I really like it. So let me get my trimmer and I'll show you how I did this. Now I die cut these off camera just because I didn't want the die cut machine to make a lot of noise. So, you just run your cover die or whatever die you're wanting to use through with a piece of the ivory cardstock or whatever you're choosing to do. And of course, remember I said you could do vellum, you could do colored cardstock, you could do more pattern paper. There's all kinds of choices you could make for these triangles, but I just decided this would be fun. So we need to make this 3.5 inches from one corner. I'm going to use the cutting blade this time and hold this down well. Oh, that was a little rough that time, but that's okay. And I'm going to cut it 3.5 inches from this corner. Let's see, let's do this corner. 3.5. 3.5. There we go. What's that old saying? Measure twice, cut once. Measure 10 times, cut once. When I was sewing, that was always the thing to say. Okay, now you're going to notice there's a little bit of funniness right there, but that's okay because we're going to not use that side anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. And now what I'm going to do is actually score it just to make it a little easier to fold into that triangle. Let me get these little pieces off here. Of course, when I did this the first time, it didn't catch up like that on those little pieces because I wasn't making a video. And now I am, so it's doing that. But it's okay. So now I'm going to hold it really firmly down and I'm going to use my scoring blade And I'm just going to score it a little bit along there because that's going to help me fold that intricate piece into the triangle. Okay, put this away. And you can't see it, but I can, and see how easily that folded. Now I thought later about it, about maybe having, it would have been easier to put an adhesive sheet on the back so that this would be easier to glue. But I'm a little hesitant to do that because the last time that I put an adhesive sheet behind a really intricate die like this, it had some trouble doing all the die cutting through it. So I don't know if it's just the sheets I was using or what, but I decided, well, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and use our liquid glue on this to glue them on. So what I'm going to do is get this and put these on like this. Oops. Put this side like this. Now remember, these are 3.5. Doesn't it look pretty? It really looks pretty. So we're going to go turn it around like this, and I'm going to get my little silicone sheet here so that I don't have to put my glue right on my surface. I'm just going to put little dots all along here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera. Anyway, normally I craft on a glass surface, but it's so reflective with the lights when you're trying to film that I use this one, and I don't like to get glue or anything on it. Later on this week, hopefully, I'm going to be making another fancy fold card that has a cutout on the front, and I hope you'll tune in for that because it's really fun too. And I'm going to again rummage through my stash and get some more materials that are sitting there that I haven't used. And you know, we all have that. We all have all these materials, and I tend to be a hoarder of kits and a hoarder of pattern paper. So now I use liquid glue. I just decided it was better too because you can play with it a little bit instead of the adhesive sheet that would end up being right on it. And especially with this being die cut, it's a little bit tricky to get it on there exactly in the right place. Let's see here. That looks good. Fold a couple things around to the back. There we go. Okay, that's looking really good now. Now I'm going to do the other side. So now you may be wondering, okay, what's the deal here? Here we see, I'm going to put a little glue here for this piece to fold over. Here we see this mess on the back. It's like, okay, what are we going to do with that mess? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and put this on another backing, and for that I did use the pink cardstock that came with the kit, and we're going to put this right on here, just like that. Oh, I need to glue this corner a little better. Let's hold that down there until it sticks. So you can make this back. It doesn't have to look wonderful because it's going to all be covered up by a back panel. I'm going to just hold that there while it dries. Again, I am glad that I decided to do the liquid glue because it, I had to fiddle with it a little bit to get these triangles in place. And I'm thinking if I had had it totally stuck down, it would have been maybe hard to negotiate with them. So there you see. Look how beautiful that looks. Now what I'm going to do, oops, I still need to push out a little piece right here that's still there. Little piece. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is take that tape runner that came with my kit, and I'm going to put my pen back in my glue there, and we're going to take the tape runner and just go along here, go down here, make sure we get it in the middle too. It's a little difficult with these die cuts. I might just add some liquid glue on there too, because just to be sure that it's going to glue down along the edges. I have never done it with die cuts like this before, so I am learning right along with you. I'm just going to do that just to be sure that it sticks down all these die cuts the way I want them to. Now we're going to turn this over. Now this pink piece, or whatever you use for your backing, is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. Now make sure you can take note of that, because normally we're used to doing 4 1/4 by what, 5 1/2. But this is 4 1/4 to be having all the measurements end up right. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. This is the base of your card. So it's going to open up like this. You're going to be able to open it up like that to write in it. So it goes like this. Okay, now the only other thing we need to do is make a belly band for it, and that's going to be easy to do too. Okay, I do have the pieces already cut out. This is a band of the pink cardstock that's 1 inch by, well, right now it's 11 inches. I just took a length off of an inch side off of the 11-inch length of the cardstock. And this I decided was too plain. So what I ended up doing was ending up with a strip. This is the ALTENEW washi tape that has little gold dots on it. And it'll be linked down below, so in case you're interested in getting it. So I just decided that the pink was a little plain, so I made it like that. So now I'm just going to wrap this around and just kind of gently fold it there. The thing with belly bands is that you don't want them so tight that they stick, and you don't want them so loose that they fall off. And I find if I score it ahead of time, invariably it doesn't fit correctly. So this, I'm just testing like this to be sure. Okay. Now we're going to fold this like this and put this right over that and press it down. And then I'm going to use my bone folder and just give this a crease on the ends to make it sharp. And right along here, I noticed that the washi tape hadn't totally glued down to there either. Okay, so now what we're going to do, let's try this on. Now you're thinking to yourself, uh-oh, look at this, there's a big thing. Shouldn't that be in the back where that looks ugly? No, because what we're going to do is we're going to put our sentiment on here. And what I did was I took a round die, and this piece of paper was 6 by 8. And I had to cut out a 4 by 5 piece out of it to make the front of the card. So on the extra piece, I used a round die and I cut out some of the pink flowers to be used for the front. And then I used another round die and did a little backing for a little shadow backing out of vellum. So I'm going to glue those two together. Almost done here. Can you believe it? This is really easy to do, and it looks so pretty and so, oh, I don't know, it just kind of looks fancy, doesn't it? I'm going to center this in here like that. And then I already went ahead and made a little I appreciate you sentiment. What I did was the kit from Simon Says Stamps comes with this little stamp set, which is really cool. And it's called the Simply Thank You, and it has a lot of little cute sentiments in it. And I just went ahead and picked the I appreciate you one. And then because I had put the gold washi on this, I decided to just go ahead and do this in gold as well. And the thing is that I tried several pinks, and they were all either too bright or too baby pink, and I wasn't happy with any of them. And then I came up with this idea, oh, it's got gold dots. Okay, then that's what I'm going to do. So I already went ahead and gold heat embossed it, and then I die cut it off screen. And I'm going to put foam tape on the back just to give it a little bit of lift there. And I put a little bit of liquid glue there so I'd have a little play area when I put it down. And get it centered. Make sure it doesn't stick to both sides. There we go, good. Now I'm going to put this sentiment across the middle. Okay, and there's our belly band. And I think what I'm going to do is add a few little pearls. I wasn't really sure I was going to, but now that I have it all done, I think I want to go ahead and do that. I have some pink pearls here. And there we go. So let's put it on and see what it looks like all finished. We'll put this on here. There's a little piece of fuzz there. Put this on. There is our card, a triangle gatefold card. So when the recipient gets it, oh, I love those pink roses. When the recipient gets it, they pull off the belly band. They open it up. There's your beautiful roses. And then they open up the card and you've written on the inside or stamped or whatever. I felt like there was enough to this card already without thinking about having to put more on the inside, but that's your choice. And I would really love you to try this, put your own spin on it with your own materials and your own ideas, and that would just be fabulous. Let me give you a little close-up look before we go. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.